Hi, my name is Jocelyne, and I would really love to have today to have a chat with these folks that's sitting with me today because all of them had joined me for last year on our trip to Cambodia. So let me introduce our panel. This is the Roundtable, and just gonna have a chat. So I know some of you or many of you are veterans of these medical trips since the late 90s in Vietnam, and now some of you even bring your children along with you. So, why do you do this year after year?
I actually go on these trips for the past 25 years for a very selfish reason. I think it's good for me. It's good for my mental and emotional health. It's kind of like a vacation for the soul. And when you see other people and how they live, it gives you perspective about what's going on in your life and how important some things are and how insignificant other things are. And I now take my kids because I think children get to a certain age and they need perspective in their life too. And they need to be a part of something larger than themselves. I think my son actually, when he got into high school, asked me, what is the meaning of life? And what is it that makes a life worth living? We talked about it a lot. And one of the answers that I came up with for him is that a life is worth living when you do something for somebody more unfortunate than yourself, when you do something for your community, when you do something for the earth in which you live.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. So, Vinh, you have a business. You're running a really successful business, and yet you dropped all that and went with us.
I went to Cambodia on the mission last year, not really knowing anything about stateless Vietnamese. I did a little Googling on the floating village, but I had no idea. Obviously, I knew that they were poor, but this trip was an aha moment for me, paradigm shift, perhaps life-changing in some perspective. I'm in agreement with a lot of what Dr. Denise has mentioned. I found a lot of hard work that I've been, working on this project. It's for selfish reason. It kind of makes you feel good because you're doing something good. But going back to the trip, I mean, the people that I saw over there, they look like me. Right? They look like my parents. Their kids look like my kids. They spoke the same language. They ate the same food. They celebrate and embrace the same cultures that I do. So I went back and asked the question, why am I here with everything that I have, and why are they there? So we had a family discussion, and if you can play the slide of the map. My parents, they live near the coast in Vietnam, Nha Trang and Nguyen. And obviously, after the Vietnam War, they couldn't survive to seek freedom. Our family fled by boat. We were the boat people, like the millions of family that took the risks to go in the ocean. And many millions, countless, hundreds and thousands of millions have died. And we were just lucky to land in the shores of Philippines and then took refuge in the U.S. And, we're here now, and my kid's here. But that family meeting was, what about all the people, Vietnamese people that live in the border of Cambodia and the neighboring country? It's obvious, natural that they go by foot, đi đường bộ đó, across to seek freedom. And that's the faith that we see today in these people. And for me, it's the question is why, right? Really, it's luck, right? And there's another slide of my son. The paradigm shift for me is at the tail end of the trip. We went to this area where must have been 500 to 1,000 kids, and most of them are very malnourished. We met a little boy. His name is Nam. We took a picture, and my son, Benjamin, who was 7 years old last year, barely turned 8, and he's considered to be, small. I took a picture of next to Nam is 12 years old, and you can play the slide. And he's not an outlier. Nam, you know, most kids are severely malnourished. Who knows what other issues, psychological issues besides the mental issues, the physical issues. And I thought to myself, wow, my son could have been Nam. My son now, he lives in America with all these abundances, all these opportunities. He can be whatever he wants, even the president of the United States if he really wanted to. But Nam doesn't have the ability, that opportunity.
So Nam has been in your mind.
Ever since, yeah. And then the sad part of it was at the end when we left by boat and we said goodbye to all these people. And I had a reflection that here we are going back to the U.S., going back to abundancy, to materialistic, to opportunities, to whatever we want to do. And here's Nam and the rest of the kids, floating village people. They're thinking of what to eat tomorrow. And Nam can only dream of opportunity and really waiting for spark. Like us or whoever's in the audience listening today, that spark can change Nam's life and the people in Cambodia's life.
So you want to make that change for that one boy?
I would definitely try. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Ian, every year I see you on the same trip, right?
Oh, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Jocelyne, for giving us the opportunity to share our medical mission experience. Yes, I've done this quite a few times.
Few dozen times.
Yes. Well, it has become an addiction. I'm addicted to the feelings that in my lifetime, I can unselfishly help others. And simply the rewards are just free, warm hugs. And the joy of sharing this experience, this memorable time with my friends, my colleagues, and all the other volunteers. So that's why we've been back years after years.
So how many dentists do you have this time?
We have 4. We have 3 dentists from Southern California and 1 dentist from Vietnam.
And how many patients did you take care
We
of?
probably see, between the 4 of us, about 100, 120 patients a day.
I see.
And we work 4 days, and the last day we went and helped with the medical team.
Is this conditions worse than what you've seen through so many years in Vietnam?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I just look at a child's mouth and I'm overwhelmed. All the teeth are abscessed.
So tell us the story about what your husband did.
Well, for most of these children, they've never seen a dentist. And not just this one child. Most of the child, we have to take them aside and teach them how to brush their teeth. If they don't have a toothpaste, salt. Salt is a disinfectant. You gotta brush your teeth before it gets to this point. Some are baby teeth that we can extract, but some are permanent teeth, and
I think he took the boy into the
Yes,
bathroom.
he took the boy in the bathroom and
with the toothbrush and actually
Yeah.
teaching that boy how to brush his teeth. And the boy was in his teens.
Oh yes,
We're not talking about a 4 or 5 year old boy.
No.
Right? A teenager.
right.
Yeah. Why do you do this? Why go to Cambodia? Vietnam has gotten better. Why don't we just stay in Cambodia? Why do we go and seek the Vietnamese living in Cambodia?
Well, I think because we've mostly been concentrating our trips previously in Vietnam, we can see a lot of cases and we have a very good basis for comparison. So we've seen all of these severe poverty, severe lack of infrastructure before, but that was in Vietnam 15, 20 years ago. And they were usually a result of single disasters. We have not seen this level of severe poverty and lack of infrastructure in Vietnam for more than 20 years. And the problem is these people, they don't have a social net. I mean, they're stateless Vietnamese in living in Cambodia.
There's so many needs also in the U.S., right? Especially in this pandemic. Why are we doing this?
I think many people can step outside of themselves. I mean, we all know that there are needs out there, but for the same reason that, you know, I've seen somebody who doesn't have a job will stop and actually give $1 to the guy who's begging on this, you know, freeway corner. I believe in the goodness of people. I think people can step up.
Does it take a lot?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we can all donate $5, $10, $20, $100 for, it's a cost of a coffee at Starbucks, right? Or cost of a tea at 7-Eleven.
Under $5.
$5.
And or you know, a good meal at a nice, you know, restaurant. So
Right.
I don't think it's a lot to ask.
So here's my last question to all of you. What's the most memorable moment for you?
Yeah, I definitely the picture with Nam and Benjamin, because you know, I see myself in them, I see my kids in them, and we can easily bend them. But going back to Denise, you talked about why should we be giving during this difficult time? Everybody's facing difficult times right now. I would say you multiply that by 10 times the people that are living in Cambodia right now. The struggle they're going through right now with the dams being built by all the neighboring countries. There's no fish right now. They rely so much on fish to eat. What's more important? What are we doing in our lives that's more important than saving lives, changing lives? For me, I'll definitely concentrate on doing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinh.
Well said, Vinh. For me, all the trips are memorable. This last trip I went to Cambodia, there was this one boy. He was 6 years old. He looked about 4 years old, and that's typical of this community. The stature of the children are smaller than what their age would be. He walked in with his sandal tucked under his arm, and I asked him, "Why don't you wear your sandals?" And he said, "Oh, I have to save them. I walked barefoot here." And then he proceeded to show me the 5 teeth that he want me to remove, as if this is the only chance to help ease his chronic pain from these abscess teeth. I mean, 6 years old, chronic pain. I was overwhelmed. I mean, it's just. I've seen.
You see how early independence they have to be.
He's so young, a child
Yeah.
this young, so independent, so brave, and their survival skills mature too early, way too early. So for me, it has been an addiction, and if I have to travel all the long distance, working under these harsh weather condition, it is all worth it for my time and effort. And I hope that you will join us in contributing so that IHM can continue to support these stateless Vietnamese in Cambodia.
Well, in the same vein, actually, just wanted to say also that the reason I think that I actually put so much faith in IHM is because I worked with these people, and I actually am very impressed by the leadership in this project. I mean, they're all extremely dedicated. They're all amazingly competent. And most importantly, they're pure of heart, because I see all these people putting so much time, so much money, so much effort into doing this project, and they're not doing it for ego or for money or for power. They're just doing it because they want to help people. And so that's why I'm really, really impressed. And I think this project has a really good chance of succeeding.
Thank you.
For me, though, the most profound thing that happened in Cambodia was I kind of got jaded because you go to so many trips and you see so many, malnutrition and, all parasitic disease and strokes and, paralysis and all this stuff. But what blew my mind was when we arrived into these floating villages by boat. I saw this area where there's all these stakes in the lake that had these shirts and personal items hanging on them. And
The stakes and then they
there's stakes into
Shirt?
the river, and there are shirts draped over them. Some of them have like necklaces and beads on them. So I asked what they were, and it turns out that was their cemetery. And because they don't have access to land to bury the dead, they pretty much roll the body in cloth and stake it down with sticks and stone, because wooden coffin floats. And so, and then I realized that this is an area just outside of the village where the water flows back and forth each day, washing, the rotting germs back and forth. And then later, as I was going to the bathroom on one of the barge that on Kampong Lung, I saw that everything that I flushed down the toilet went straight down the pipe into the lake. And I looked out the window, and I saw a houseboat 5 feet away. And the lady on that houseboat was scooping up water to, I don't know, maybe do her laundry or cook. And so it kind of blew my mind, and I thought, oh my God, maybe these people aren't small just because they're malnourished. Maybe they're loaded with tons of parasites.
That's right.
And so it's the infrastructure, the lack of access to clean water makes a huge impact on their lifestyle and the health,
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, all your donations that come into IHM, we have zero administrative costs. So every single cent, $1, $5, $10, $20, $100, every single penny are really geared for the children, the people, the Vietnamese people, stateless, that living in Cambodia. All of us here are volunteer. We have absolutely no administrative costs for this project. So please help us, and please help them. It's worth it. Thank you.